Mortal Kombat! It has begun.
Hey everyone, CJ from the future here. Hope you all doing well and hope you like the video. This one's on the longer end, especially since it's so far my longest video ever on this channel. So to help with watching the video in its entirety or in parts, here's a guide to all the different timestamps that I'll have throughout the video. And so that way it helps to make going through the video a lot more easier with all the chapters here laid out for you. But with that, let's get right into the video. Oh, or you can also use the timestamps in the description as well. Catch you again in the future. Peace. Yo, whoa, hello everyone. I'm CJ and welcome back to another exciting Mortal Kombat 1 trailer. Earlier this week during EVO, the new Mortal Kombat trailer, The Banished, dropped. And boy, did it have some great reveals. As we all know from all the teases from Ed Boon, we knew that Reptile was going to make an appearance. And oh boy, what an impression he left, including some of the other characters too. But we'll get to that right now. This video might be a little on the long end, so let's get right into business. Cause it's combat time. Right away we get a new location and man, is it gross. And because of the possibility of YouTube demonetizing it because of how gross it is, I try to fill up the amount of gore with a couple of CJ clones. Cause man, is it gross in here. This seems to be Reptile's lair, but other ideas that came to mind could be either the new version of the flesh pits, which I don't know why Reptile would have his own, but whatever. Or it could be some kind of makeshift umbrella lab or whatever kind of lab here in Outworld. Or even a completely new character's experimental lab. Who knows? But man, what a way to open a trailer. Am I right? It's kind of funny how the first instance of Reptile that we get in this trailer is his feet and his nice little combat slippers. I mean, look at those grippers. I thought it was immediately funny as soon as Reptile says, Earth Realmers aren't ready to see the real me. I'm like, yeah, we weren't. We weren't ready to see how awesome you're gonna be. And right off the bat, I really like his voice. It's pretty good. And I feel like it suits his character, his shifty persona. But more importantly, going back to this frame, I wanted to point out some potential story details within this scene. We can clearly see that some of our heroes are in this prison cell that Reptile is holding them in. For what reason, where it's not quite necessarily explained in the trailer, but I'd like to believe that they were just trespassing in his lair, and he captured them as one would. But more importantly, we can kind of see that the characters in the cell are Kung Lao and Johnny Cage, of course, because they're going to show up later. And then we can also see with them is Baraka. I didn't quite see Baraka the first time I saw the trailer until I went back to go in depth with it. Whether or not they have a fourth member with them is to be determined, but I thought it was kind of cool that Baraka's with them too. When we cut back to Kung Lao and Johnny Cage, two characters who we haven't seen for quite a bit in terms of the trailers at least, we see them in this new armored outfit, which I'd like to call their combat protective gear, which may have been given to them by the Shaolin monks in anticipation to them going out on the adventure and having something to protect themselves with in terms of gear for their outfit. And whether or not this is their final outfit or not, it looks kind of cool, and I like how all of our heroes have like a unified uniform of sorts, even though each of the outfits has its slight personality with the character that's wearing it, as we'll see later on in the trailer. But here's still hoping that all of our heroes get their own personal outfits and not just the same outfit, you know? But if they don't end up getting a unique outfit, then I feel like these combat protective gear outfits work well in the sense that it gives all of our new favorite characters new looks and this new timeline. And then here's when we get our proper first look at Reptile. And man, that was so cool finding out that what we all had anticipated came true. Reptile not only has his cool ninja human form, but also his reptile form too, which he explains is his original true form, which makes me interested in how he has his human form. That's going to be an interesting new lore detail that I hope that they'll explore in the game when we get to his chapter. Man, just look at his reptile form. Honestly, I was expecting to see the more scrawnier / slim build Reptile that we've seen in most of his depictions in 3D era and especially the NRS timeline. But I like this new change in the sense of he's like a bigger, badder lizard creature thing. And man, look at that neck. He's thick. And the teeth. Oh man, you know that's going to be wild during gameplay. It does make me wonder, however, if all these Zaterrans are going to look the same that he does in his natural form, or because he's more in the fighting and stealth missions that he's a bigger Zaterran. But who knows, we'll see. Hopefully we do get to see a little bit of Zaterra and his people. Later on in the trailer, we find that the reptile has been given the name Syzoth, which is the same name that he had during the Mortal Kombat 2021 movie as well. And I've got to say, the name is so cool. It sounds so great. Syzoth is a pretty awesome name for a reptilian character, which I feel like it fits reptile here. And although that he's reptile to us, it'll be kind of funny if they make a joke about that during an interaction between maybe even Johnny Cage and Reptile or Syzoth. It'll be funny if he introduces himself to the group like, "My name is Syzoth," and Johnny Cage is like, "And here I thought that you were just some big ugly reptile thing." That'd be kind of funny, but maybe it's maybe that's just me. But with that aside, when we catch up with our group of heroes, we see that Syzoth is now accompanied by Baraka, Kung Lao, Johnny Cage, and Kenshi, which probably makes it clear that Kenshi was with them in the prison cell during the previous scene at Reptile's possible lair. Since we see that Kenshi is holding onto Johnny Cage's shoulder, that must imply that he has recently been blinded and is starting to learn to adapt to his environments, given the fact that he had his little incident before with Mileena, which makes it very clear that this is most likely taking place after the Tarkat chapter, since Barak is here too. And that must mean that, unfortunately, Liu Kang and the others were unable to prevent Mileena's full transformation from happening, which adds to the drama of the story, which makes me very excited to see how our various group of heroes diverge. And now, since we're following this group, what's going on with the other group involving Mileena, Kitana, Liu Kang, and the others. Pretty exciting stuff to see. But back to what Syzoth is explaining to the others. Syzoth elaborates that his ability to transition between his natural reptilian form to a more human form is what makes his Zaterran people consider him as an outcast, which begs the interesting question of how Syzoth has the ability to transform into a human. Is he the only Zaterran with this? Is he a special Zaterran? Hopefully all these questions are answered in the story, which makes me excited to see how they handle that new key point in his new iteration in this timeline. Some interesting thoughts here during this conversation that I had. I know that a lot of people have seen Baraka's cool arm tattoo and think that he's either Kano transformed by the Tarkat disease, or he could just be, as the character bio for Baraka stated, that he was just a simple outworld merchant before the Tarkat disease. But adding the tattoo adds a bit of toughness to his character. And while we're with the Kombat Squad here, we get a little look at the combat protective gear that Johnny Cage and Kung Lao is wearing. Kung Lao's is a bit more personalized since it has the white dragon emblems that he would naturally have in his classic look and his more modern looks in both MK9 and MKX. Johnny Cage seems to have the standard simplistic look, which is fine for his character. But what's interesting is that he also seems to be carrying a sword as well, which, not gonna lie, Johnny Cage with a sword is kind of a cool idea, since he's kind of at class with all of these fighters with special powers, so giving him a weapon would give him a bit of an edge to his fighting style as well. That makes it pretty cool. Originally, I thought that because Johnny Cage is helping a now blinded Kenshi that he's holding Sento for him. But later on, we'll see that Kenshi is holding a sword, which is most likely Sento, which made me come up with the interesting idea of Johnny Cage potentially having the old sword that Kenshi was using before he got Sento back, which would add like a cool little broship to their dynamic and character relation. That'd be kind of cool, though. That Kenshi probably figured, you're just a fighter. I think you'd be better off holding this sword here so you can defend yourself better against these magical beings, you know? As Ace Vane once said, sneaking, I be sneaking. A little detail that I wanted to point out with Syzoth's new outfit. I like how the scarf-like fabric that drapes from his waist kind of seems like a cool little human camo / illusion version of his tail. I thought that was kind of funny, and it could just be a nice little coincidence in his design. But back to the scene taking place we can see that a festival is going on in Outworld, which we got a little bit of a tease about that during the Umgadi trailer. This festival seems to be in dedication of the royal family, since this could be a celebration of the coronation of Mileena and or possibly Kitana as well, or just a yearly annual celebration of the royal family, especially the royal daughters. There's a lot to take in with these shots, but one interesting thing that I noticed is that big blue flame kind of thing that's out in the distance. I doubt that this is the case, but this instantly made me think of the possibility of this being the soul chamber in this new Outworld. I'm pretty sure that's a stretch, and that's definitely not what this is. But it does make for a pretty great visual. Well, the blue flames and everything. Still wonder what this is, whatever this place is so far away. Why do I think this is the new soul chamber, you might be asking? I just figured, like, with this new timeline, everything in terms of its aesthetics and appearances is completely different. Like how we see the living forest completely change from how it's always been depicted in the past. And I just thought that it would be interesting that not only would the green color effects of the soul chamber be changed to blue, almost like a spiritual flame kind of, but I feel like the complete location of it would be different too. But like I mentioned, I could be most likely completely wrong about this idea, and it's just a fleeting thought that I had. But what do you think? Are we going to be seeing the soul chamber this version of Outworld? And if we do, I wonder how it's going to be utilized in this brand new story. Whatever this festival is, it's popping off. You can see that there's different sections where all the citizens are celebrating. I like this big giant tent thing where you can see a decently large gathering underneath it, and then there's the second level above it, which makes me wonder if that's the little coronation area. Or it could just be like a spiritual, ceremonial space of some kind. I don't know what this is, but it almost looked like it was a type of shop or something. I can't really tell what that part is. And then, of course, you have all the people partying out over here, different areas. And then this giant statue thing. It made me wonder whether or not this could be the new depiction of King Jared, or if this is a statue alluding to some other important figure in Outworld history. Who knows, but this shot was just super amazing to see, and man, another appreciation to how far game graphics have gone since old days. Oh, look at them, they're so cute and pretty. The new royal garments for Kitana and Mileena are so beautiful and so pretty. Like the intricacies and the designs of the gowns, the embroidery, the color schemes of both their respective colors, blue and purple, mixed with the gold, and the way that the fabric just comes together. Oh, it's so it's such a beautiful look. I love it. It's really great. It's clear that there's lots of cultural influence with both of their royal garments, and it makes for a great sense of how the fashion is for this new Outworld as well. They're both very, very, very pretty. Some of the details I wanted to point out on both of their outfits is this symbol on their headpiece, a part of their crowns or tiaras, is the same symbol as what the Umgadi shield is formed after. Which begs the question of, is this the sigil for Outworld, or is this just the royal sigil for the royal family of Outworld? It is an interesting question. Like, it's a cool design, but it would be kind of interesting if it is meant to be a royal family crest or just a simple little throwaway design, a part of their crowns. But speaking of their crowns, we see that there's like these spiral, almost drill bit like prongs poking out of their crowns. And it made me think that, if from this angle at least, it looks like the crowns sort of resemble each sister's favorite weapon. Like how for Mileena, she only has 2 prongs, could be representing her 2 dual size, whereas Kitana has about 4 to 5 prongs coming out of her crown, which really resembles her bladed fan, which could be an interesting detail in their designs with these outfits on. I could be wrong, but it was just something that I thought I'd want to point out. Their dresses are so beautiful. A sad detail is that Kitana is smiling and waving at the people, and Mileena's jealousy is starting to show up because maybe the Outworld people, although recognize Mileena as the rightful heir to the throne, maybe they favor Kitana over Mileena, which is kind of sad because then that fuels Mileena's jealousy and suspicions on Kitana, and all Kitana wants to do is just be the best sister she can, which is then added to the sorrow, especially when Mileena just dips right here and leaves Kitana hanging. Oh, poor Kitana. She just wants to be cool with her sister. Something else I wanted to point out, I'm not sure if this character in the back is Li Mei in a festival garb or not, but the outfit instantly reminded me of Li Mei's alternative outfit in either Deception or Armageddon. I don't remember. But in the sense of the offset purple color scheme and with the drapery coming down from the waistband and the sort of calm demeanor that she has, instantly made me think of Li Mei. But who knows? This could just be a outworld passerby, the part of the festival, or it could be Li Mei. Who knows? But I just thought I'd point it out as well. And then when Havik starts to reek in the festival, Havik. This is clearly sometime after the festival is interrupted, since a lot of people are fleeing for their lives, lots of property is being destroyed, and then we see someone, a part of the team, injured and being carried out by the others. Or, since this is a fifth member or sixth member of the group, that this is probably someone that got knocked out and is being dragged by the team, since they're probably someone of interest that they needed to grab from the crowd. When we get a closer look at our Kombat Squad, we see the character that we're about to get into soon, Kung Lao, most likely Johnny Cage and Kenshi, and then this mysterious character, who we'll be talking about very soon as well. Amidst the chaos, Syzoth is encountered by Kitana, who instantly blames him for what had just occurred during the festival and immediately deems him the culprit, which, as Syzoth says, that Kitana doesn't know the full picture yet. But since he's in the player one stance, it's time for a fight. It's combat time. But back to the whole Kitana and Syzoth conversation, and especially with the title of the trailer. Maybe Kitana instantly blames Syzoth because he's been banished for something bad that he's probably done, and instantly she would think that he's the one responsible for everything. Also, I found it kind of funny, Kenshi just popping up like, boop, here I am to save the day and back up my boy Syzoth. But I'm sure Kenshi is here just to mediate the situation that's about to happen, or at least try to. When the fight between Kitana and Syzoth begins, we instantly see his neutral fighting stance, and oh boy, is it cool looking. I was always a Reptile fan, and man, just seeing him back in his human form is just as cool, especially since he's a ninja. The green ninja. But I will say, although this fighting pose is really cool, it's too bad we're not getting the reptilian fighting stance that he had during the 1995 Mortal Kombat movie. But still, this is a really cool fighting pose, nevertheless. Plus, I gotta give him mad respects for choosing another ninja as his cameo fighter. Oh wow, it's really great to see that his reptilian form is also playable in combat and not just a part of his special moves or his X-ray of fatality. It's really great to see that he can transition both from his human ninja form and his reptilian form, which will make playing as him super fun. But dang, I love the change in his moveset in terms of how the force ball is like way larger now, but I guess it makes sense since he is larger now than before. But still, look at that thing. Before it used to be like as small as or as large as the opponent's head, but look at that. That's a big eyeball right there. Get slimed on. And speaking of which, the splash animation and color effects are so great and visually entertaining. It's actually really, really good. And speaking of cool visuals, it's so awesome that mid-fight, depending on which combo move that you use, you can have Syzoth transition from his lizard form and his human form seamlessly. But an interesting detail is the transitional effect of this green neon light that passes through his body. It's very different than how it looks like during the in-game cutscenes, since usually in the story it looks like an invisible wave, but here it's a very green light wipe. And it's still pretty cool. Another nice, cool, interesting factor to put on Syzoth's new iteration this time around. Yo, that lady in the background is way too occupied in how cool and dope the fight is to even care about the fact that that's Princess Kitana that's being thrown there. I know it's just a background character, and the background characters are actually kind of fun to observe of how they like cheer and react to the fight. But it's just a funny coincidence with Syzoth fighting Kitana here. When we return to the Kombat Squad at the Living Forest and somewhere in Outworld, we get properly introduced to the return of Ashrah. Who knew that Ashrah was going to be in the game? I mean, unless if you followed the leaks, but I didn't, so I didn't know. And wow, her new look is quite interesting. It's kind of funny how we're having two way different iterations of Ashrah this year. Well, with the Ashrah and Cage match looking very much like an 80s glam star. And then now this cool demonic / angelic in a way version of Ashrah. But I feel like both have retained the same characterization as original Ashrah has had. Cool to get the new lore information that she's a demon from Netherrealm, which begs the interesting question, are we not going to see Chaos Realm and Order Realm anymore, or is that all just gone and just changed completely? Hopefully not, but we'll see. It is interesting that Ashrah's new form now represents a kind of balance between what her original nature was intended to be, what with the demonic origin, and now she wants to reform herself and purify her soul. Hence, all these angelic details like these dagger-like wing motifs that's a part of her outfit. It's particularly interesting, especially when you see Ashrah's potential original inspiration as the Asuras, which are evil spirits, demons, and opponents of the gods. This lore detail is especially made even more interesting when the mythology behind Asuras is pretty much coming down to the battle between good and evil, which Ashrah makes it very clear that she is trying to divert herself from her original demonic origins to not only become a better person, but a better version of herself too. As Ashrah narrates her explanation about how the reason why she appears human is because she's been clearing out all the demonic energy from her soul. And although that she's not completely human yet, since she still has some demonic aspects to her, that she's still dealing with the process of bettering herself in the sense of purifying her soul from all the demonic energies that she's come about from. But during the scene, we see that she is fighting some Tarkots, what with the pointed ears and the bone-like spikes protruding from their bodies. Which begs the question, are these Tarkots that were just upset and just want to look out for a fight and potentially betrayed Baraka? Or is there other intentions here? Hopefully Baraka's not the culprit of being a traitor or anything, but it'd be understandable if there are some Tarkots that disagree with Baraka joining our heroes and want to rebel against him and the others. Hence, Ashrah fighting them and taking them down swiftly with her cool sword. Ashrah then continues to explain that her sister demons were furious at the change of her heart, meaning that although she was able to do what she wanted with herself and her soul, many of her fellow demons did not like that. In particular, perhaps the demon that we shall soon see later in this trailer. But while she's explaining to the group, we see another and better look at Johnny Cage's protective combat gear, which doesn't seem to be as personalized as Kung Lao's and Kenshi's are, but it's still pretty cool that he's got the armor set on since he's never had a skin like this before, and plus the sword makes him does look cool. Wait, scratch that, reverse it. Does make him look cool. And of course, naturally, we have Kenshi with Sento, especially different from the regular blades, since Sento has a cool little, almost tooth piece coming out of the hilt's pommel, and we see almost like a silver engraving or silver pattern along the hilt as well, which is pretty cool, and I can't wait to see it in full detail, just to fully analyze the cool design for Sento in this timeline. I guess you can consider Sento as its own character, much like how the Cloak of Levitation is in the MCU. Watch out, Raiden! She's too fast for you! Ooh, that looks like it hurts so much. Hey, wait a minute. Why is Raiden here? I didn't think about that. Or unless if he's just here just for gameplay sakes, but it would be interesting if he just randomly showed up for the story, but who knows. But still, poor Raiden. He's gonna be used for Ashrah's move demonstration, which looks really cool with this yellow-black pattern, which not as extravagant as all the other ones. I feel like the simplicity in her lighting and color effects with her move flourishes kind of fits with her character of trying to be more positive and reserved to herself. Pretty cool choice to demonstrate Cyrax with Ashrah. And I find it kind of funny that one of his cameo support moves is just having him act like a Beyblade. Pretty cool. It makes sense with his moveset. And plus, you can't have Cyrax without his iconic Cybernet. Got him. Oh great, I got caught in the net. Don't I feel silly? It's very cool that not only with her light flourishes from before, she also has this cool angelic light aura form that she projects as an attack. That's pretty cool and kind of works with her new demeanor and lore of purification. I thought that was really cool, and it makes for a great visual too when you're fighting your opponent. Especially during this combo move, that was really cool. And so then here we are back again at Not Chang Sung's island, or wherever this place is. Or could this be a part of the Wuxi Academy that I just didn't realize or think about? Maybe. But the most important thing is that it's kind of being terrorized right now and kind of being destroyed. Oh look, there's the White Lotus symbol, so this must be the Wuxi Academy, right? But amidst the devastation that could have potentially happened, we see the flame portal that Liu Kang demonstrated in the previous Keepers of Time trailer. And then we see the Kombat Squad come rolling in to save the day. And here we can clearly see Baraka with the round head, Syzoth because of the hooded curved head, what appears to be Kung Lao, obviously because of the hat, and then Johnny Cage, I believe, and then I'm sure Kenshi's follow suit. It's really cool to see that after some time, once Ashrah and Syzoth has become familiar with the Kombat Squad, Liu Kang is finally briefing them in once everyone's gathered at the Wuxi Academy or wherever this is, his study or whatnot. But it's cool to have these two be added to the Kombat Squad. But with Ashrah and Johnny Cage still in the festival outfits, it makes me wonder whether or not what did I just say? Whether or not this takes place after or before the festival scene. Most likely after, but I could be very, very wrong. It would make sense if it's before, seeing as though Liu Kang is welcoming Ashrah and Syzoth into the team. So probably just getting everyone together before all the shenanigans that's about to happen during the festival. But before we continue, I just want to point out, since we have a clearer image of Syzoth's design, I love the fact that the scarf, which I mentioned before, may or may not be like the allusion to his tail, does have like a reptilian pattern on it. And what with his shoulder pads and arm guards, they've got like scales to represent his actual reptilian scales, along with the kind of cloak and traditional ninja gear that he has, also has this reptilian skin pattern as well. His buckle almost looks like an owl though, but I can see that it has like a reptilian, an angry reptilian kind of face. It's interesting that it has keys, but probably just for his Lair or whatever. His hood is cool. I wonder if he has hair, or wonder how his hairstyle would be. It's probably going to be short. And of course the lizard-like tattoo that runs up his arm, probably, what you think, across his chest or across his back, and then runs up onto his face on the left side. And ooh, those green eyes. Syzoth is so cool. It was really cool hearing Liu Kang say that the monks must prepare you for war. Whoever he's directing this to, it sounds very, very intimidating, especially since this could be alluding to the second act of the story. Or it could just be from the beginning. Who knows when this takes place, but this would be really exciting if this takes place before confronting the main villain, or at least the first villain of the act, who will be very well acquainted with soon enough. And then we get a surprise return from a familiar attack, the green energy flame skull thing, which is naturally a Netherrealm attack, which begs the question if this next character is truly from Netherrealm and no longer from Chaos Realm. That would be kind of a bummer if Chaos Realm is just deleted from lore. But back to the green skull, it does make for such a cool entrance for such a dope villain, especially when said villain enters by claiming, "You will accept chaos." Oh my gosh, you know what that means? It definitely is the return of the Chaos Master himself, Havik. And he's not alone, he's with Serena. Serena's back too. Who would have known that these two were going to come back into not only popularity, but also the limelight in a MK story. Like, I know Serena was in MKX and Havik was in the MKX comic, but we don't talk about those anymore. And wow, what a complete change to both their lore and their designs, because that is sick and dope. It's funny how Havik gets that pretty boy look that all the male characters of MK1 is getting, but it's still pretty cool that he still has his iconic features like his exposed jaw and parts of his body being exposed as well, but I find it very cool that I guess it's a part of his moveset that he just uses his arm as a blunt tool, and it fits with his character too. But Serena looks cool too, and quite a surprise because it turns out that she's also a demon from Netherrealm, which is interesting because she did originate in the Netherrealm in her depictions in the original MK timelines, especially in Sub-Zero mythologies. But having her full-on demon in this new iteration is pretty cool and exciting. Yeah, sorry Cabal, not your Serena anymore. I still can't believe that her and Cabal were together. Who thought that was a good idea? Havik's ability, whether or not new or old from the prior timelines, is pretty sick. It seems like he can regenerate himself, which is probably why he doesn't mind just ripping himself apart just for the sake of winning a combat. But Serena's new demonic look, wow, what a look. It's so cool that her body just envelops in flames and she grows her demonic tail and everything. And this symbol is a particularly interesting one. Is this... Tell me if I'm wrong, if we've seen this symbol before in MK lore, or is this a brand new symbol? Could this be the new symbol of Chaos Realm or the Nether Realm? Write your thoughts in the comments section down below. I'm curious to see what you'll come up with as well. Here's to still hoping that these two are from the Chaos Realm and not the Nether Realm. But if they are, then that's just an interesting change that hopefully is explained further in the game's story. The scene to fight transition is pretty cool, especially since they decided to add that little detail into the trailer. That was pretty awesome of them to do. Ashrah makes it very clear that Havik's goal in this game is to either merge another realm with his or to completely destroy and conquer another realm, whether or not it be Outworld or Earthrealm. It will be most likely Outworld since the story follows heavily on the royal family and takes place most of the time in Outworld. I'm getting kind of worried though because although this fight is really cool and the setting and stuff, I don't know, two villains against Ashrah, a heavy hitter but not one of the main characters in the group. Hopefully this isn't alluding to her possible death scene or at least just a fight that she's gonna lose and then hopefully regain her strength to come back even stronger later in the story. But who knows? I kind of find it funny in a way that Havik will just randomly stop in place and his head will just turn around. It's kind of interesting that they're playing on the whole corpse body horror / comedy. It's kind of weird in a weird way, but it's still kind of funny that it's implemented into his moveset and idle stances. But on the topic of this screenshot, when I first saw this, I was like, wait a minute, did Serena just throw her tail at Ashrah? I was very confused. But both of Havik's and Serena's movesets are really cool, and the demonstration really goes to show that their demonic powers is not to be messed with. On the subject of Havik's moveset, it's pretty cool and interesting to see the different kind of things that he can do with his rotting corpse of a body. Like spit out this giant blood heart thing. It's pretty gross, but makes for a cool visual. Oh boy, when he does that combo move where his upper body's just twisting around his legs or vice versa, it made for some wacky body horror / comedy. I don't know, is that too weird? But it's insanely cool that he's got these like arm blades a part of his armor that he uses not only in his combo moves but also his X-ray. Oof, that's a lot of damage. As I mentioned, Havik uses his arm blades that's attached to his outfit. One or both of his arms just ripped off from his body. But Serena, on the other hand, when she's not in her demonic form, but I think also in her demonic form, she lights her weapons up with fire and tosses them and stuff. But she uses these cool dual sickles, which makes her a pretty great look too, and a pretty great weapon choice as well. With her hair like this, it almost reminded me of Trilla from Star Wars Fallen Order, which I kind of like that hairstyle, not gonna lie. Here's another clearer look at Serena's demon form, which is quite insane with the length that she can grow her tail to. Her horns are pretty cool, the fire powers, especially fire punches, and of course that symbol that we talked about earlier. This is like what happens when you eat that bomb food from that restaurant you know you love, but then afterwards your body just feels like it was an actual bomb, you know? The situation at hand here in this scene looks like it could be before or after the panic in the festival, since we see the Kombat Squad with our mysterious character here that we saw that we potentially saw them with earlier, but this could very much still be beforehand, since Syzoth is about to do his sneaky, which we saw him do at the beginning of the trailer, so this is most likely before the festival stuff happened. But it's cool to see that although everyone's in festival disguise gear, they still have remnants of their actual outfits, like Kung Lao and Ashrah have their like cool custom hats in association with their actual outfits and the festival gear. And not gonna lie, Kenshi and Johnny Cage actually look pretty cool in the festive outfits. It's a particularly dangerous situation since Kenshi mentions that they're out for Syzoth as well, since he is most likely banished from Outworld, and who knows what the others have done to be on Outworld's wanted list for the moment. So online, I did see an interesting theory. Sorry to the person who thought of this theory, but props to you, because I believe in this theory as well, that could this person that they're trying to like kidnap or capture, given the evidence of the pale skin, the almost red markings, and then the potential shoulder/chest gear protruding out of the festival outfit, could this be Quan Chi? It's very, very unknown, and especially since he's very much covered up and the headdress is very, very large and covers up his facial features. But wouldn't that be crazy if they're trying to get Quan Chi and Quan Chi's in league with Havik? What if that's the case? But what if that's not the case and I'm just wrong and I'm just blabbering on like I always do? Man, they had to give Syzoth the pretty boy treatment too. I mean, he looks pretty cool, but yep, them green eyes do help his character design a whole lot. Just wanted to show my appreciation for this dope line. To catch me, they must see me. It's just so awesome how quick and awesome and seamless the transition is from him raising his arms and disappearing with his camo, smoky, wavy visual effect thing. Man, and it was so cool and dope when he said that and just boop and just disappeared like that. I agree with Johnny Cage here. When I heard that and saw him disappear for the first time, even I said, damn, that was sick. Man, Syzoth is so dope. I love it. And then when we cut to more gameplay footage, we cut to Syzoth facing off against Mileena, which implies a big story detail, seeing as though this could either mean that after Syzoth beat Kitana, Mileena comes in a mad fury because Syzoth beat her sister, or this is Mileena trying to escape and Syzoth and the others trying to stop her to help her. And maybe because of the Charcot disease, what's going on, seeing Syzoth, or all of those factors put together, she's furious and ready to fight, which is gonna be so cool to see. But yeah, during this little part of the gameplay trailer, there was a lot of cool details that I picked up on and wanted to talk about here, such as Syzoth's use of his tail while still in human form, which makes for a pretty cool visual, especially with the green trail there, and it's so cool seeing his human form with the giant lizard tail. Oh, look, he's doing the reptile dance. A 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 2. 2 and a 3, 2 and a 3. Look, even Mileena's dancing. Oh, she did not like that. She's about to lunge. But speaking of lunges, you can see that when Syzoth transitions from human to reptile form, you can still see that neon green transitional light effect. And man, when he lunges at you, he is super fast. That's crazy how powerful and fast he is in his reptilian form. He's so fast that he was about to lunge as Mileena was about to throw her size. And once they were already in midair, he already grabbed her and snatched her. It was so crazy how fast it was. And it makes sense that since he has a reptilian nature, that he uses that kind of grapple and ground twirl technique that you would see crocodiles and alligators use in the wild. That's pretty savage of him to do. Another little key feature that I liked about this fight was usually in fighting games, characters would only move across the X-axis and the Y-axis of the frame. But I like that here when Mileena's being tossed to the floor. Usually when characters are being tossed to the floor, they still remain relatively in the same place among those two axes. But here you can see that she's way closer to the camera than you would anticipate, which is a pretty cool detail that now NetherRealm Studios is using the Z-axis to explore, making combat even more cooler than before and visually entertaining as well, since it gives a greater aspect to their 3D environments and better use of the staging as well. Love that cool little detail. It's so crazy how he splashes himself with his own acid and stuff. Pretty crazy his reptilian form. It's very particularly cool how the two models of Syzoth, both reptilian and human form, work and coincide against each other. It's kind of cool to think that maybe the Shang Tsung transitional ninja appearances from MK11 was kind of like their prototype, and then here they use it a bit more flawlessly. That's pretty cool, if it's true. I'm still geeking out over the designs of both his reptilian form and his human form. Jeez, Syzoth slaps! And then again, we see more of his giant acid force ball thing. Such cool particle effects, especially on Mileena's teleport right here. Oof, that looks like it hurt. But while we're on this freeze frame, I find it so cool that his reptilian form model is still facing forward towards the right of the screen, and once he's hit, his human form, which is in the next game frame, actually turns to the left. That's a really cool little detail when it comes to the game mechanics. Love that. Ouch, Mileena's combo is so sick. It's so cool, and looks like that did a lot of damage. And then when all hope was lost for Syzoth,
Come on, Lizard Ninja Man, don't give up.
in comes Striker for the save, because you can always rely on Cameo Striker. Then we get some nice appreciation for some sick posing before we see Syzoth, before we see Reptile's X-Ray. Something I like to point out here is I noticed something kind of funny, and thankfully a Instagram post reminded me of this. What is it with Striker always fighting Mileena in every timeline? It's actually kind of funny. In the original timeline, it was that infamous sucker punch at the Pyramid of Argus in Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and then in MK9 when Striker and Mileena face off on the streets of some big city during the MK3 portion of the game. And then now here, even though it's a cameo, it's still kind of funny that Striker is destined to be pitted against Mileena in some sense. What a funny coincidence and running gag this is.
What? That's crazy, bro.
When we see more gameplay of Havik and Serena, we see that Serena summons this giant hotspot of dark energy with the same symbol that's on her during her demonic form, which begs the question of whether or not this is another realm sigil or Havik's sigil. Either way, it's kind of cool, but in terms of game mechanics, it seems like it could act as a area to drain either the opposing character's energy or health. Either way, it looks pretty cool. It makes for an insane visual as well. When the trailer got to this face-off, I was super excited with the story potential here. Syzoth versus Havik at the festival. Hopefully this is a part of the story and not just for the sake of the gameplay trailer. But if it is a part of the story, we could talk about how the implications are pretty cool here. This could be either after Syzoth faces off against the Royal Sisters and Havik comes in to try to take them out or take advantage of the situation, and Syzoth being the playable character in what is most likely his chapter of the story. We have to face off against Havik before he can flee. But hopefully that doesn't mean that Havik is about to waste Syzoth here. And hopefully this is just the first of many encounters that we have with Havik. Either way, the visuals of both of them facing off against each other are pretty cool and really awesome. When we see more of Ashrah's gameplay, we see that one of her combo moves includes this purpley dark energy, which makes for a pretty cool visual to offset her white color schemed attire and her light yellow, glowy, angelic effects too. And the purple energy just made me think of this possibly being the representation of her demonic powers that she's still holding on to, which makes for a pretty great visual and adds another cool piece of lore to her new character story. And speaking of her angelic features, here we have a display of her holy power, and holy moly, is her X-ray pretty cool. I like how Ashrah has this mercy kind of vibe when she rises up to the sky with the light behind her, and her angelic wings of light daggers envelops her with her new angelic powers, and especially when her sword lights up, makes for a really cool visual and adds to the idea that because she's been purifying herself, or at least attempting to do so completely, that she gains this new power of, well, light energy. Seeing her use the angel wings of light energy was pretty cool, but the fact that she can launch them as daggers of light with their beam of energy, that was actually pretty cool. But dang, when she finishes her X-ray by just pinning down her enemy with the light daggers and then just kamehaming them with the light energy, was pretty awesome and pretty sick. I mean, just look at the damage right here. It's just, and getting enveloped by light. Pretty awesome. Ashrah in this instance is saying take your chaos elsewhere, most likely after the fight that you have between her and Havik, which will then probably transition to the next scene of what's going to happen between them. But this quote made me think that Ashrah is feeling pretty confident that she managed to beat Havik, and hopefully it's not one of those character tropes that a character thinks they've defeated a major villain, and when underestimating them, gets blindsided by the villain and either killed or severely injured. Who knows, and we shall see soon. But dang, hopefully Ashrah just doesn't die as soon as she appears in the new story, right? When we then transition over to Syzoth's Reptile's fatality, I noticed a cool little game mechanic detail that this kind of little divided scene screen, I guess you can call it that, transitional period of time where the frames overlap each other. I thought that was pretty cool and a little interesting in the way that they cut between game shots and cinematic X-ray or fatality shots. But back to his fatality, it was really cool that we can see the transition between his human form and his reptile form before he goes wild with the fatality. Still, another appreciation to his new giant reptilian size. That's pretty cool. And pretty funny how now we have 3 giant reptilian characters in video games in recent memory, or at least the games that I like to play, since we have Killer Croc, the lizard in the upcoming Spider-Man game, and Syzoth. Oh, that's so crazy that when Syzoth goes invisible and he jumps on the enemy's head, we kind of see the silhouetted forms of his body as he's chomping down, and it's so sick. And it's made even clearer, especially when all the blood starts coming out and stuff. The fact that you even see the other person's head through his invisible chompers is insane and awesome to look at. Syzoth appreciation shot right here. Man, thick neck, sharp jaws, awesome moves. He's gonna be so cool. But yeah, thought to ask you all, who are you gonna like more? And who would you vote on if I made a poll? Syzoth's reptilian form or Lizard in the Spider-Man game? That'll make for a funny discussion there. Oh my god, and then the way that he ends his fatality is so gross and sick, but so awesome at the same time. And at the end, he just smashes you down. That's insane and really cool for Reptile. Oh, I'm so glad that he's in the game now and he's getting the love that he deserves. But what am I saying? He's always had the love that he deserves. Just even more so now that he's even more awesome than before. And with that, the Mortal Kombat Banished trailer comes to an end. And what an amazing trailer. Can't wait for the next one. I'm sure we'll be getting another trailer soon, since both the roster and cameo roster is nearly complete, and we haven't seen any villains yet. So we'll most likely have another trailer before the final trailer. But I could be wrong, and that could just be one and the same. But with that, that means that this very long video, and my longest video so far, now comes to an end. But what do you all think? What are some theories and comments and concerns that you have about the game's story going forward, the closer that we get to its release? And with all these brand new characters and story deets, especially from the new characters' character bios, write them all down in the comment section down below, because I can't wait to hear what all you fellow MK fans are thinking. But yes, with that, my name is CJ, and I hope that you all continue to have a great day. And hey, if you liked the video, why not drop a like and consider following the channel by hitting the subscribe button and checking out some of my other content here on the channel too. Your support is very much appreciated. But with that, I'll catch you all in the next video, especially the next Mortal Kombat 1 video. With that, bye bye for now, and I'll see you next time. Catch you later.